viewers and friends, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a overview and look at my Peter Jackson collection. I got this idea from another YouTuber called The Horror Man, giving him a quick shout out. Great YouTuber, recently become friends with him, and he's a ton of fun to chat to. Not only does he like horror, but he likes a range of other movies, and he just is great to talk to. The interaction with him's always fun. So if you're not subscribed to him, I highly recommend doing so. He's been uploading a lot of great videos lately, going over different parts of his collection. So he did a couple of director overviews where he was going through his John Carpenter and Wes Craven movie collection, and I thought that was a great idea, and I've decided to do the same with my Peter Jackson collection. Peter Jackson is one of my favourite directors. I think personally he's had a fantastic career, spanning right back from the 80s. He started off pretty small, pretty basic, and he certainly made a massive impact over the years within the movie industry. So it sort of just shows you what someone can do just starting out from the basics, that has a real passion for movie making and that comes from a small country, can do. He certainly had a really impressive impact on the movie industry. So I just wanted to go over my Peter Jackson collection. I own all his movies that have been officially released on DVD and Blu-ray except for one. So I'm going to start from his first movie and make my way up to his most recent. So his first feature movie was Bad Taste. I own two editions of the movie. I own the Australian Collector's Edition and the really impressive Anchor Bay Digipack. This is definitely the edition to pick up. It's an absolutely fantastic edition. So as I said, this was his first feature movie. It came out in 1987, I think, or somewhere around the late 80s. It actually took 4 years to make because he was only shooting it on weekends. He still had a full-time job. This was done on a really limited budget. He used all the cast and actors involved in the movie were actually people he knew and his friends, and he did all the special effects, the alien costumes, all the gore and stuff himself, and he also used a lot of homemade equipment in the movie as well. And I believe that it wasn't until sort of the end of production that he actually got financial assistance from the New Zealand Film Commission. So I think considering all that, this is a really impressive movie. Great horror sort of splatter comedy. I'm sure most of you have seen it, but if you haven't and you're a Peter Jackson fan, I definitely recommend checking out. Personally, I think a lot of his earlier work gets overlooked now, considering all the fame and stuff with Lord of the Rings. But personally, I think this is his best movie, or not necessarily his best movie, but it's my personal favourite movie that he's ever directed. So, Bad Taste, love it. Then next he made Meet the Feebles, which I've never seen before and I don't own it either, but I'm wanting to pick up a copy of that at some point. Then in 1992 he came out with Dead Alive, or it's also known as Brain Dead. This seems to be a lot of horror fans' favourite of the horror stuff that Peter Jackson's directed. I like it, but it's not my personal favourite of his horror movies. Great use of gore though, and again, great special effects. He used a lot of miniatures throughout the movie, so I'm pretty sure all the scenes to do with the tram and overlooking the city, a lot of that's done with miniatures. But as I said, not my personal favourite, but it still is a lot of fun, and really great gore in this one. Then in 1994 he went with a completely different genre and brought out Heavenly Creatures, which is a drama movie. He is a fan of drama, and he always wanted to make some drama movies, and yeah, Heavenly Creatures was the first one he did. In my opinion, this is definitely his most underrated movie. I think it definitely gets overlooked a lot of the times, and I really don't get why. This is an absolutely fantastic movie. Again, it made quite a big impact on his career because it was the first time that Weta Workshop, which is his special effects company, was involved with one of his movies. So all the fantasy scenes between and during when the two characters sort of get together and they escape into their fantasy world, that's all used by Weta, and it looks absolutely incredible. This is based on a true story about two young girls who sort of fall in love with each other and form a relationship during the 50s, I believe. Of course, back then it was frowned upon, and both families try and keep these girls apart. But the bond's so strong that they will basically stop at nothing to be together. So, great movie. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend checking out Heavenly Creatures. Then in 1996, he sort of went back to the horror genre and yeah, did The Frighteners. Again, I think this is one of his more underrated movies. It does have a lot of fans though, but I definitely think, again, like Heavenly Creatures, it's kind of underlooked. But this is different to his earlier horror work. It's not gory at all. It's basically a ghost story. Michael J. Fox plays the main character. This was filmed in Christchurch, in a suburb called Littleton. I'm actually from Christchurch, and I was just entering high school around the time this came out, so I can remember quite clearly there was a lot of buzz and hype around a movie being shot there, so that was kind of cool. Again, not one of my personal favourites of his, but still a really, really good movie. Then several years passed until he moved on to his next project, which isn't really surprising considering the epicness of it, and that's Lord of the Rings Trilogy. It wasn't really until he did the Lord of the Rings Trilogy that he really became a big-time director and people really started to notice him within the movie industry. I mean, that's a good thing, but personally I think it's a shame, because I do kind of think that this trilogy of movies is kind of his most overrated stuff that he's done. And I'm going to be completely honest here and say that I've only really seen the first movie, and I think I might have seen half of the second, but you know, for some reason I'm just never in the mood to sit down and watch these. They are really lengthy, and yeah, I just haven't really had the time to dedicate to them. I'm sure a lot of people watching this video are completely shocked right now, but yeah, I don't know, I've just never really been in the mood to watch them. I definitely will get around to watching them, and it's actually one of my goals for this year to sit down and watch the trilogy, especially before The Hobbit comes out. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about these that fans don't already know about? I mean, there's nothing to say really. Then in 2005 he did the King Kong remake. I thought this was a pretty good remake. My only problem with the movie is it's a little bit too long for my liking, but other than that it's really, really good, and I enjoyed the use of effects in this one. Then in this one, I think came out in 2010, The Lovely Bones. This is another fairly underrated movie of his, and after he did Heavenly Creatures he did step away from the drama genre, but you know, he's always said that he wants to go back and make another drama movie, so I'm so glad he went back and did The Lovely Bones, because this is an absolutely brilliant movie. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's so well done. It's about a young girl called Susie who lives in a sort of suburban American neighborhood, and she gets kidnapped by a child abductor and a child murderer one day, and it's basically about it's sort of seen through her eyes after she's disappeared, and you know, just her watching her family through the grieving process. So Absolutely brilliantly done movie, and I'd highly recommend checking out The Lovely Bones if you haven't. So that's it for this video. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of Peter Jackson fans out there, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. And yeah, make sure you subscribe to The Horror Man if you're not subscribed to him already. And thanks a lot for watching.